How's it going, everybody? It dawned on me the other day when we were showing about the connections that some of you guys maybe haven't gotten a good look at the Systems Accelerator Manager. There was a couple questions about what is the Systems Accelerator Manager? We call it SAM affectionately. What is Workflow Secrets? And so I wanted to take the opportunity and kind of walk through the platform itself and show you guys. So this is the Systems Accelerator Manager. I call it SAM for short. And it is the actual software platform. Workflow Secrets is the company. So I guess Alphabet is the company that owns Google, if you need to think about it that way. But we are going to go quickly through and just kind of look at the Systems Accelerator Manager. I'm going to call it SAM from now on. We're going to look at SAM, and I'm going to show everyone around real quick. And obviously, we are building new things into it right now with the connections piece. So some of this changes in a little bit of a way because it's just going to get better. But very first and foremost, you log in and you're met with a dashboard. Now, on the dashboard, there's some really cool stuff. On the very top, we have what I call the core score. Now, core is from the core strategies framework. That's Mark's framework. And it is inherently the 4 areas you need good systems inside of your business. So this is translated into the resource generation.
Which is core is the acronym.
Core, yes.
Conversions, operations, retention, experience. Just making sure that that's clear. These are the places in your business where you need to have systems. You need to have built-in processes so that whenever you do your business, you're covered. The conversions being those things that you are doing to get leads. Your operations are the things that you do to do business. Retention, obviously, bringing back customers, and the experience. Everything's about the experience.
Yeah, and the experience is kind of interwoven into all 3 of the initial ones. So your core score is showing how many of those different resources you have in each of those different sections. Now, the ultimate goal is to balance your core score. So as you see on my screen, I have a lot of conversions, a lot of lead generation. Now, this is on purpose, but it would behoove me, or it would benefit me to focus on my operations, retentions, and experiences, try to get those up to pretty close to or right at 12 to balance that out. Now, after that, you have some details about the number of resources that you've generated. And then
what is a resource?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But after that, you have the quests available. Now, a little bit of a throwback. When I was a young kid, I played this video game that had what was called a quest system. And these little stories that you play through inside the video game that teach you about the game, the land, the lore. And at the end of it, you have a better understanding of how to actually play the game. And when I was building SAM, I realized there's this fatal flaw of real estate school. And it's that they teach us all about what we need to know to be good real estate agents. And then they kick us out into the world and we have to figure out how to be business builders on our own. Well, the Quest system is designed so that you can build your business infrastructure. So it is going to walk you through that. And I'll show you guys in just a second what that looks like inside of the Systems Accelerator Manager. There's quests, and then each of the elements or each of the different pieces of the quests. Now, after that, on the dashboard, you're going to get to see some of the things that are going to kind of validate what you are doing. So first, number of words generated. Now, this is how many words you would have had to type out into a PDF or a Word document. Elapsed time is how much time I've spent inside of SAM, and then how many hours that translates in just overall savings to you. So you can start to kind of conceptualize, man, using this system has saved me so far 27 hours for only about 10 minutes of use. That's crazy, right? And then if you want to look at hours saved, you can also look at work time saved. Now, work time saved factors in your average typing speed. And for most people, that's about 14 words per minute when they're thinking about it. I know a lot of us have like 50 words per minute when you're actually typing, but typically that's when you're like looking at something and just kind of typing. When you're actually thinking about it, it gets to be much less. And something cool about work time saved, you can click into it. You can actually take a 1 minute little typing test. It'll give you a prompt of something to talk about. And then you will race against Sam. And at the end of it, it'll give you an adjusted work time saved. Mine is actually 16 opposed to 14. I guess I can type a little bit quicker. Maybe I was a little bit better on that prompt. So this is the dashboard. Now, this translates into the generations. So this is where those resources are housed. Conversions, it's all about bringing leads into your business. Operations, business operations. Retentions is about past clients. And the experiences, like I said, are kind of interwoven in all of these. Another concept we have is a world-class client experience. And so we can build that in by focusing on all of these, having good systems. And this comes from your 3 decades of being in real estate, helping teach thousands of agents at this point, and my opportunity to kind of study under Mark for the last half dozen years. So I'm going to show you guys real quick what a conversions based resource looks like. So we need to have resources in our business. We need to make things that we can share with people that are going to help bring them in as leads, but we want to teach them, we want to train them, and we want to make sure that they're good leads, right? And the best way you can do that is help them through the questions that they probably have about the different processes they're going to go through. So this is where resources come into play. So let's say, this is my favorite example. Let's say we want to build a lead magnet. And now a lead magnet is the thing that you put out into the world, usually housed on your website, and it draws in like a magnet, new leads, right? Now from here, you start sending people to it by pointing ads or just sharing about it in posts. And this is something that we do in our business as well. But a lead magnet can come in lots of different forms. So maybe we have a lead magnet guide. It's a guidebook that a person can have. And then you're going to see that it's going to select some team member details. Now, I've got lots of team members in my account, and so I can make sure that I have the right one. Each of my team members might have a different focus in real estate, or maybe you have several focuses in real estate. We call these your niches. But for this specific lead magnet, I'm going to keep it as a first-time home buyer. Now, under that is member voice, which is your tone or how it sounds when you're writing, your writing style. And you can see I've got lots of them there. You can click in and maybe you remove some. Maybe you want to add something to make it a little bit different. And then at the very bottom, you have the objective. This is what I say is, what is the overall goal that you have for the person who's reading this? So at the end of this, Sam's kind of pre-filled this to help you out. They have engaged with the guide's content to convert a potential customer into a client by learning about the tips, tricks, and traps of the first-time home buying process.
Now, I love this. For the past several months, ChatGPT has been the talk of the town. And a lot of people will go out there and give you their recommendation or advice on how to use ChatGPT. And a majority of the time, it's a matter of make sure you know who you're talking about, what your voice is, all these different things, and you've actually put it all into one system and individual fields, so they don't have to copy and paste those questions and reply to those answers, with answers to each one of those. You've put everything all in the process itself, so it makes it a lot easier. Plus, you've let it create some of the answers, so you don't even have to think about it. This is great.
Yeah. So a little bit of history. When ChatGPT first became publicly available, you and I got super excited and we started learning about it, using it, figuring it out. And at about the 4 month mark, we were like, okay, I think we have a good enough grasp. Let's start sharing about it. And we were helping teach real estate agents because that's who we like to help, you guys. And at the end of these events, you're teaching, you're sharing, and these statements that you make to these AI systems, the LLMs, large language models, are called prompts. And you either at the end of these have people who are really excited to use these systems and then have no clue how to write these prompts, or they're just so overwhelmed and inundated they need you to write the prompts for them. And so I realized this pretty quickly, and I was like, well, man, I could spend the rest of my life writing these prompts for people and making prompt guidebooks, or considering myself like an AI consultant. And there's lots of people who do that, but it's back to the old adage, teaching a man to fish or buying him a power boat, right? And so I decided to invest in some horsepower. And so that's where Sam came from, and that's what you guys, if you were to pick up a free trial today, would be able to use it for, is creating those resources, putting them onto your website, driving leads to you. And then I'm going to show you how this 2.0 changes it in just a second. But after we've filled in what we're wanting to do for this resource, Sam's going to come back with what I consider the tuning fork. These are the refining questions. And just like that objective where it pre-fills in what you might have answered it as, Sam's going to do the same thing in these. So what you want to do is you want to go through each of these questions and read through them. Make sure it's a good question first off. Read through the answer it has. Maybe we just completely rewrite the answer. I encourage people, never assume that it's got it spot on for the first time. And so then after we've gone through, we've read each of the questions, we've rewritten these answers. Maybe there's a couple questions that you're like, that's just not helpful for this specific resource. You as the real estate agent are the expert. You're in the driver's seat, and I want to keep you in the driver's seat. Even though we're using AI, it's not AI's job to be in the driver's seat, it's yours. And so I have a thumbs up, thumbs down. If, say, one of these questions just doesn't make sense to have, just thumbs it down. What that does is Sam is no longer going to look at that question answer to help inform what it's making. So once you've gone through all of that, you can hit continue. Now, Sam's going to think about all the questions, all the answers. It's going to think about what we're looking to create, and it's going to start to create this resource for us. Now, this does take the longest, but it's pretty quick, right? It just boom. And now we have a first draft for a resource. And so we have a good place to start that is going to give us that first idea of, okay, this is the resource. Now, there are a couple things that you can do from here. Either A, maybe it missed the mark, we need to regenerate, and that just means that it's going to try again, right? And then you're going to be able to see all of those. If you click refine, you can tell it exactly what you're wanting to shift. So maybe the resource that you created doesn't have the traps part of the tips, tricks, and traps. And so you want it to also include traps. Well, you can tell it specifically that. You can also expand. So these are considered to be outlines. And maybe we want to expand specific sections by those headlines, subheadlines, or maybe we just want to expand all of the content, see how big we can actually get it. Once we've kind of got the initial piece, that's where we go in and we start editing. We start infusing these resources with our understanding, our knowledge, and really making it our resource that we can put out into the world. Now, I like to say the better the resource, the better the value that you can give them, the more informed they're going to be. And that means that, A, you've already established yourself as the expert, so that when they are trying to think about who they want to work with, well, they've already learned from you. So why wouldn't they? You've already solved one of their problems. So this is a really great way for you to engage in what's called reciprocity, the relationship building. You're giving them something of value. You're helping them learn about this process. And oftentimes they're searching up these answers. This is the new real estate buyer is someone who's not afraid to go onto a search engine and learn.
They're informed.
Mhm.
At this point in technology, they're out there, they know what they're looking for, but sometimes they don't know the process, and this helps them with process,
Yeah.
help them understand better. And every process is different whenever you're starting to look at processes from California versus those in Missouri, whatever. If the person is moving out of state, there's just a lot of questions. First time home buyers have all the questions. They have never been through it. They don't know what they're doing. So making sure you've informed them on what to do is important. Everybody knows this, but this helps you personalize it and create it in your content.
Exactly. And first time home buyer, this is why I love this specific niche, because it's such a good one. We all have probably dealt with first time home buyers, and you probably have a list of questions that they're already going to ask. So what if we sat down and we worked with Sam, we made maybe 3 to 5 resources, one for each of those questions. Now, maybe we don't throw all of them at them at once, but as they ask the question, we give them the resource. Now they can start to do the research themselves, and we're providing them with solutions. So from there, all you can do, or all you have to do, is either copy it. A lot of CRMs, a lot of databases, a lot of places can take HTML source code. It's just like the spaghetti on the back of the software, and so you can either grab it in that regard, or you can just copy it. And that's what text body is. It just copies it. You can go into like a Word document or a Google Docs, paste it, save it as a PDF. But then also you want to make sure and save it into SAM. And then I'll show you exactly why in just a second. So once you've saved it, once you've got it where you want it, you go back. It takes you to the beginning of the resource. So you can generate a couple resources. But then maybe we want to come back to that resource. Well, we go to the saved generations, and you can see August the 2nd at 9:43. This is the one we just built. Well, we can reload it so we can go back into it. Maybe we realize we needed to add a section, or we need to update some content. We can always go back and do that. So you can access these saved templates that you've got really easily. So that's the generations piece. This is, that initial step. Let's create some resources. Let's put them out into the world. Let's start sending people to these resources. And this creates a good lead pipeline, bringing people into our business. Well, I talked about the quests as well. And so we have lots of different quests. There's a total of 9 currently, and each of these quests focus on a different thing. Now, if you pick up a trial in SAM, I give you the first one. That's the getting started quest, because I don't want to overwhelm you in the 14 days. But you can do things like build your customer avatar. Who do you want to work with, and who are they, right? Your brand voice is how your company, how you as a real estate agent write and speak to them in the different resources you create and your marketing materials, social media strategy, testimonials, and reviews. And you can go through each of these. Now, if it's got a check mark, that means we did it. Awesome. And the goal would be to get all of the elements inside of the quest checked off. And then to check off one of these, all you have to do is go through the process of creating it. So testimonials and reviews, we could click the play button. It's going to bring us back to those refining questions. Very similar process, right? So we go through, read the question, read the answer, rewrite the answer. If it's not quite what we're looking for, we can thumbs up. If we decide, oh, maybe I should have that, we can add that thumbs up again, and then it'll be ready to go. We hit continue, and then Sam's going to generate that resource for us so that we can start building out for this specific one, our testimonial and review process, right? And so now we have a good idea of this is a guidebook, right? So we could maybe create a guidebook of all of our testimonials. Maybe that's an internal document, since these are all about business infrastructure. And we just have a big guidebook that has all of these listed. Well, now anytime we want to grab one and share it on social media or throw it on our website as what's called social proof, or validating to people that you can help we have the ability to do this in these kind of elongated case studies.
I love this because now for those, especially new agents that, don't have, they know the real estate side, but they don't know the business side. We can help them through the process. And you've given them this quest, this idea of, hey, you need to go through this, and it's gamification. You're creating this as a process that they can step in small chunks and get their business structure set up. And I love that.
Thank you. And I will note, so one of my friends, Andrew, he took up a trial. He was going through the system, and he made the comment, "Hey, Cody, I actually have my testimonials and reviews done. Do I generate it? What do I do?" And so let's say you've been in real estate for a little bit. You do have some of this business infrastructure. There's still a value in going through these quests. And so you can click this edit button, and you can plug in your actual testimonials and reviews for the specific one. But the reason for this is kind of where the AI is infused into SAM and the whole process. So these generations, these quests, these saved things, at every point, Sam's able to review what you've created and put inside the system. Very similar to some of the things I'm going to show you in a second with the communications matrix, with the automations. Sam's looking at all this information, and it's helping understand who you are. It's helping understand who you serve. And the more it understands about you, the better it can help you. Now, I'm not sharing this information with anyone. It's not going anywhere outside of just your account, but it's helping the system serve you a little bit better. And it's no different than having like a senior level assistant. The longer our virtual assistant is employed by us, the more they know about our business. The more they know about our business, the better they can help. The same with an employee. And so at any process in SAM itself, it actually does this. So now that we have our resource, we've done some of our quests to build up our infrastructure, we can do some other really cool things. Now, I know your past company was RealVolve, and I know a lot of you guys have used RealVolve. And one of the things when I was working at RealVolve, I got asked all the time, maybe some of you guys asked me this question, and it was, I would love to download my workflow.
Yeah.
And various reasons, maybe it's time to go elsewhere. Maybe you just are headed to the lake for the weekend and need to review your processes. Lots of reasons that you would want to do that. Fortunately, you couldn't do that in RealVolve, but you actually have a connection piece. It's called an API, and it's how software communicates with each other that allows you to do it. It was just kind of sitting there waiting to be used. So I used it, and so you go to the workflows viewer. Now, you do have to integrate from the integrations tab your RealVolve account by hitting this login button. It's pretty easy though. Go to the workflows viewer, you select contact properties, transactions, the 3 different types of workflows. And then after that, you can select from that account that you integrated into your SAM account, which workflow you want to use. So from here, let's just pull up a workflow. And then you're going to be able to see all of the different pieces of the workflow, all of the activities. You can see all of the check list items, the actions that are associated, when is it scheduled. Now, maybe you're not a lists view. That's totally fine. You can actually stack the view a little bit better. So it's stacked by activity.
I'm gonna break in.
Okay.
You did amazing. I mean, I just there has been so many times when the RealVolve users have come to me and said, Mark, I want to be able to print out something, or I want to be able to, see my workflow. I want to physically see it. I want to go through and write on it and make changes and stuff like that. Can you make it do it? Then the engineers just didn't have time. They were working on other things, and you just just gave them the world right here.
Yeah.
So this is amazing, and especially if you're wanting to, really concentrate on what your workflow does and how it does in all the different fields.
Mhm.
You did an amazing job there.
Thank you. Yeah, and I've got a lot of people who just sing the praises to being able to do this. Carrie absolutely loves it, and several other people. So there's actually something even cooler. This is my favorite part about it. So you've got your workflows. That's cool. You can see it. But then the other thing that I struggled with is I never could understand the actions and seeing the templates mentally, what is associated with the workflow. So there's a template section, and each of the templates assigned to that specific workflow come into this template section. Now, in this workflow that I grabbed, there's only one, but it could be a list of 1 to 100 bazillion. And you're going to be able to see each of the templates associated with them. Now, if you click into it, the very bottom, I have what I call workflow coaching. And so Sam is going to look at the template you have written. It's going to think about what is the use of this template for. And it's actually going to score it for you. So the sentiment, the call to action, and is the voice correct? So the voice, your writing style, it's looking at your profile. Does it match? The call to action is what in marketing we say, like, how are you encouraging someone to take that next step? Is it book a appointment with you? Is it schedule a phone call? Is it show up to a property? Is it sign this ding dang document that has been on your to-do list for a week now? Whatever it is it there? And then the sentiment is just the overall feeling. Is it cohesive? Is it sentiment? So it's going to score that. Now this one's pretty well written. Yeah, 7, 10. 10's a great call to action. In fact, it's the best. And correct voice. So maybe I want to leave this, but maybe I want to see if I can't make it just a little bit better. Well, you can slide where it is on the scale, and you can have Sam take a stab at rewriting it. And so now I want to see if I can't make the sentiment a little bit better. And Sam's going to take a stab at this. We'll see if it's able to do it. And now we're able to view the original. We're able to view this one. It looks like it's pulling in some code there. So maybe we didn't get it. In fact, the sentiment increased, call to action dropped. So doesn't always get it right. This is why you kind of have to stay in the driver's seat, right? Can you imagine if I just had Sam run that and then you sent it out? Oh my goodness. So sometimes it doesn't always get it right, but it gives us a shot at doing this. And maybe I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I don't know how I could even make this any better. Well, now we can take some stabs at it. You may not hit every ball out of the park, but you better swing at them at least, to get some strikes. So this is the workflows viewer, and I'm pretty excited about that. So one other thing that they have access to in the 1.0, and I'm going to reference back to this. You go up to the top right, you click, you've got your profile. This is where Sam is learning about you and your writing style, your member niche. So that's where I was pulling that from the generations. Forgot to show you that. But there's this integrations tab. That's where this RealVolve integration comes from. Got lots of other ones. But Sam Chat. So chatbots are kind of another hot button item right now. And a lot of people are making a lot of money being these chatbot consultants, I guess you could call them. It almost infuriates me, the number of like AI experts and consultants that have popped up, because they're charging businesses hundreds of thousands of dollars and they keep the keys to the kingdom. So at every step I can, I'm trying to build in these solutions in ways that are easy for you guys, because ultimately I want you to be successful. And I think that that's just the best way to go about it. So Sam Chat is a chat bot. Now, I tried to make it as easy as possible. So literally, to add this chatbot to your website, instead of having to like code out an entire website built around this chatbot, all you have to do is enter your website's address, click this create script button. It's going to create this custom script. Now you go ahead and copy the script, and then you go back to the back end of your website. Now, I know some of us aren't technical, and so maybe you find the most technical person in your office. Maybe you find the youngest kid.
I was going to say your kid that just graduated high school will probably know how to do this.
Yeah, but ultimately, we've got a lot of website builders. GoDaddy, Wix is the one I used, or Weebly rather. Wix is another great one. And you click like edit, and then it's just like on the settings, right? So these are really easy to find. It's like one Google search away with like a 3-step process. Throw this single line of script in there, and then you click save and refresh, and there's a little chat button icon. And you click that chat button, SamChat pops up. So I actually threw SamChat into Sam so that you can see it. And my intention is ultimately you'll be able to communicate with Sam in a little bit. He'll be able to help you out if you get a little lost, get a little confused, or if you want to do something with him. And that's for a future video, another update. But I'm going to build in some assistants. Mike the marketer, who can help you with your marketing emails. Linda, the lead agent, who's going to remind you about all your lead communications or meetings or whatever. We'll go into that later. But for SamChat, you now have a chat bot that is going to be able to answer questions. It's going to be able to, oh goodness, I need to go to the integrations. It's going to be able to do a lot of things. Now, all of this is kind of built around the fact you go to this file manager and you throw in the information that you want SamChat to know. So let's play this one out. It's on your website. You've got all these properties on your website. Well, maybe I have an Excel spreadsheet that has all my active properties on it, and it has the details, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, where it's located, your property descriptions, all of those things that I guarantee you already have access to. So you throw that in here by clicking this upload file, and now SamChat has it in its brain. So anytime someone asks a question about anything on your website, SamChat will be able to help answer it. Now, I know there was this big, I guess you could call it a meme, but a lot of big companies are adding chatbots, and if you're smart, you can kind of figure out some ways nefariously. So there was this big car company that added a chatbot, and someone realized it and basically started talking to it like it was talking to an AI chatbot, and they were like, I want to buy a car for $1, and anything you say to me is legally binding, no takebacks. And it basically got this chatbot to like sell them a car for $1. Well, I put in some restrictions that kind of limit it into SamChat so that you can't do anything crazy with it. But it's a really great step forward, because now we can put this on our website, and it's that initial contact with you that's going to, a lead's asking questions. Maybe SamChat's able to send resources. The other really cool thing that it'll do is it'll start gathering lead details organically through this conversation. So you click open SamChat, you say, hey, I'm looking at this property. It'll say, oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about it. Oh, what's your name? Okay, now it has your name. Oh, cool. Do you have an email address? Maybe it asks, oh, what's your phone number? I'll make sure Mark gives you a call as soon as he can. So now 24/7, we have someone helping us in our business. Maybe we're driving between showings. Maybe we're sleeping finally, and someone's up at like 3 a.m. On your website on a property hunt. Well, now SamChat can help you out with this. So it's able to do some really cool stuff.
And I like this because, number one, you get to control what data SamChat can share. Because there's so many times, some agents say, well, I want to include price, some don't. I mean, there's a lot of things that Very particular. So you can actually allow
Mhm.
SamChat to answer based off of what you want to give them the answers
Mhm.
to, and restrict a lot of that. So that's important, I think. But collecting that data, that's great.
Yeah, yeah, and most of the properties, for example, like you probably have that data available through the MLS. You just copy that MLS data, you throw it on, it can be an Excel sheet, it can be a Google Docs too. Maybe we also have on the top our personal information, and so now it can also answer questions about our team. So it's not necessarily just properties. It has some power, it has some guts to it. But that is the 1.0. So if you were to go over to workflowsecrets.info/Sam trial, get a 14-day free trial, boom, you would have access to that. You could run the play, you create resources, you add Sam Chat to your website, and either A, they trade their details for those resources, or when they're talking to Sam Chat will help gather these details. Well, from there, I realized,
You're doing 90% of the work.
I'm gathering their details. Well, I should probably have something that I can put the details in. And so then I opened the proverbial can of worms, and now we have a contact database. So this is the first step in the 2.0. So we have a contact database. Now we showed you guys a little bit of a highlight on the contact database with the connections piece. But you have contact information, you have your categories, types, milestones, contact preference. I love to just highlight this one. This is one of my favorite things. I like to say, I'm a millennial, don't call me, unless you or mom or Lizzie calls me, I'm probably not going to answer. And it's just who I am as a person. I don't know. So contact preference, you can specifically state what their preferred method of communication is. Is it email? Is it phone call? Is it a text message? Whatever it is, just make a note of it. Probably for me, if it's a business, email me. If I know you, you can send me a text message. That's totally fine. And that gives me the freedom to either maybe I will call you back, but maybe I'll just respond to you when I can. So that's got some stuff that I'll show you in a little bit in regards to the automations piece. But then after that, we've got tags. The important dates is how I have built out automations. So workflows, as you built them, are these big sequential processes. Sometimes hundreds of different things in these processes, this contract through close process, this first time home buyer process. And what I've observed listening to you, listening to all the gurus of real estate is we have to have these automated systems. So that's how you become successful. That's how you build these repeatable experiences for your people. But they can oftentimes take 2 weeks up to sometimes several months to think through these processes. One of your old customers, I remember you telling me the story. He like went away with his wife for the weekend, like had to rent a hotel with a big marker board, and they were like post-it note placing, and oh my gosh, like
Honestly, I mean, it was a good thing at that time to be able to get everything done all in one weekend. And that was great.
yeah.
It's just a matter of, yeah, it's a process.
So and this is where I think that technology really shows its age. Like most of those systems are 2 decades old. My favorite way to say this is Living La Vida Loca was the #1 hit on the charts when Revolve came out. So, think about your Jinkos and really reflect back on what your technology is doing for you. So important dates is my stab at rethinking how you do automations. Now, there's lots of dates inside of your business, and each of these dates can trigger an automation to occur when that date gets filled in. My favorite example of this is birthday. We learn our birthday we learn the birthday of a client We throw this into Sam, and it's going to trigger a routine. I'll show you that in just a second. That is the automated process, the workflow, if you will, for that specific important date. Now, instead of having to think through these, 1,000 piece processes, we just have to think about, okay, well, what about our birth date? How do we build a world-class birthday experience? What does that look like? How do we make sure that we're building experiences that are so good, people can't help but share about us. They give us free marketing, and ultimately our commissions grow from it. And so this is where our important dates come in.
I love this. It does simplify the workflows. And I was telling one of the users, Pam, the whole idea of the workflow having all this stuff predicated the fact that we needed to have groups. And some things, to use a group effectively, basically you're saying, well, sometimes I use something, sometimes I don't. And if I don't use it, then I can uncheck it and do it. You've eliminated the need for the check here, because if you don't have the HOA docs filled in, date or whatever. Now this is I'm thinking real estate. You don't have that piece yet, but if there's a certain date that you're not using, it doesn't create the routine. It doesn't need to. So you're eliminating the need of that group. But if you do put in the date, then it'll start it. So it's the best of both worlds in a much smaller format. And you've just simplified it 10 times.
Thank you. Yeah, and so you might be looking at this list and you're like, well, you're missing a lot of dates, Cody. Got lots of dates to come, but also the intention is to have a little plus button down there. You can add your own important dates. So maybe there's a specific important date for your business. Just add it. There's no reason why it has to come from me, because, oh man, I think you run into these issues with having to create custom merge fields or custom fields that you had at RealVolve, where each and every user needs a different field, and so then you have thousands of fields. So important dates is the first step in these automations. Now, after that, personal details. We all learn personal details about our clients. It's just we're in a relationship building business. And if you can start thinking about real estate through the lens of my software, my technology helps me take off all these automated processes, the things that you do again and again and again, it's going to not only take away those little 3-minute chunks. Well, by the end of the year, if you write an email 10 times a week and it takes you 3 minutes to write it, and you're rewriting the same email every time, that's an entire 40-hour work week at the end of the year. That's your vacation week from just one email. And so, I read this book, Atomic Habits, several years ago, and it changed my life, because that's what fundamentally got me thinking about how life is systems. And so we have our systems, but then we also have personal details. We're learning about these people. Start throwing them in there. You could add personal details to RealVolve, but this is where, again, the age of the technology shows your system would hold this information. I like to say it hoarded this information, but it never used it. So Sam is looking at all these personal details, and it can use them to help create custom content. And I'll show you exactly how in a second, right? So you can use personal details. We've got our notes. You're going to have the connections piece. It'll get plugged in here. And then files for any of the files that are associated with this specific contact. So let's talk about how does it write this custom information? Well, you can do it a couple of different ways. You can do it from these automations. I'll dive into that next. But maybe we just want to send a text message and we want to customize it. Well, let's let Sam take a stab at customizing it. And now all we have to do, just like when we were building those resources, we just have to tell them what we're hoping to accomplish. So maybe we want to send a personal message for their birthday. Now, more detailed you are, the better the system can understand this. But what it's going to do is it can take a good stab at this. Happy birthday, Cody. Wishing you an amazing day filled with joy, laughter, and a lot of things. And enjoy your special day to the fullest. So this one's not super personal. I didn't do a good job of creating the objective.
I think the objective there might be better if you were to say something about, using the personal data, or actually use something from the personal data to create a message would be probably a better. The only reason why you do that is there are lots of times when you wouldn't want to use that personal data, whatever. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
It's like it added it to it.
Yeah, I doubled up. That's totally fine. And this is case in point. You have to be reading these things. I just say you wouldn't just let an assistant send things off haphazardly. You gotta proofread stuff. So wishing you an amazing day filled with laughter and joy. May this year bring you new goals, new achievements, and new opportunities. By the way, I hear you love making videos. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page. You can find that at workflowsecrets.info. So that's fun, right? Where does that come into play? Well, that's from the notes that we have a YouTube page. So Sam's grabbing information from this specific contact card that is my contact, and it's using that. Now, it can do that for text messages. It can also do that for emails, right? And we can do the same thing. Let's see if we can't take a better stab at this. So create a personalized email for this contact using the personal details. This
to generate a birthday message with a poem or something like that. Just something crazy.
With a poem. Let's see what Sam can do. Maybe it'll lead me astray, but that's okay. So obviously it takes a second for Sam to think about what's going on, but then boom, it created a personal email for my contact on behalf of the entire Workflow Secrets team. I wish you a happy birthday. We hope your special day is filled with joy, laughter, and wonderful moments. As a token of our appreciation, here we prepared a poem for you. All right. Roses are red, violets are blue. It's your birthday. We're sending good vibes to you. May this year be filled with success, good health, and happiness. We are grateful to have you as a valued member for our community at Workflow Secrets. Now, think about how much better this is than just a generic, everyone gets the same happy birthday. Now, is this perfect first try? No, maybe it takes a little bit of coaxing, but we saved ourselves at least 3 minutes, and that's that 40-hour work week that I'm talking about when it's stacked up at the end of the day. So obviously I like to say the industry standard for personalized communication is these merge fields. Well, we do use merge fields because they are helpful. If for some reason you are in your contact, you actually want to see what these merge fields look like, you can do the merge and it'll pull this information. Now, I don't have the specific merge field, and so it's just going to blank it out because you don't want it to have the merge field. So it filled in this best regards, Cody, the happy birthday. So a couple things. Clearly I need to do a little bit of tweaking on this.
The merge field itself was the wrong merge field, so it didn't know.
That would do it. So this is how we build out these personalized communications. Now, looks like Sam let me down just a little bit on this one. That always happens in live demo.
Honestly, I can tell you why it did it.
Yeah.
I was making some changes.
Okay.
And I actually removed one of the fields that identifies what database that you're using, which you did have Sam in there. Now it doesn't know. So I need to, because on this one, I was testing it to be using the Revolve database, honestly. And it didn't know what it was doing.
Okay, so
my fault.
Easy fix, but you know what? The show moves on, and now we know what. So you'll get
the fix.
You'll get the fix, right? Okay, so we have a contact section. That was step one in we've created resource, we've sent leads to it, they've traded their details, and now we're sending them into SAM. Well, we have to have the automations. And I will note, contact database is just the start. Properties and transactions, it's actually really easy to make those. They've got different fields, but it's pretty well the same thing. So as soon as I get this all squared away, as soon as your connections piece gets filled out, I can kind of just copy it, paste it, adjust what I need to, and then we're going to have properties and transactions. So that's going to be a pretty quick.
Can I recommend that you change it from properties and transactions to listings and closings?
Yeah, you got that one a lot, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, so listings, closings match the industry. So then we'll have what is considered the all-in-one CRM functions, but it's modern. It's from this decade, and it's able to use the information inside your system to actually help you with your business. Now, this is where we've got our templates, and templates are these pre-created messages. I call them messages because they're not necessarily emails. Now, that contact preference that I showed you guys, the reason why I love it so much is because let's say I write a pre-written message and I attach it to one of my automations. Well, maybe when it sends to me, my preference is SMS. It's not going to send me an email. It's going to convert that email into 160 character SMS so that it can send it out to me the way I want it to be received. Nice. So I like to say it's written to sound like me, but it's designed specifically for you. And so we've got our templates, and these are those pre-written things. Now, some of them can be a little bit more generic because of what I'm going to show you in a second. But, maybe we have the content we want. Now, an example of this, when you pick up a trial, I go and I teach you about the system through an onboarding process, very similar like how I'm doing now. And so it's not going to change based on the person. So it is a standardized email. So you can have both of those play into it. But then that's where we come to these routines. Now, everyone has a routine. You have a morning routine. You wake up in the morning. For me, I brush my teeth. I go make some coffee. I go for a walk with my roommate's dog, come back, I shower, and I get to work. That's my morning routine. So if you start thinking about automations as these routines that you would have, it's not necessarily any different than these sequential lists, but I think it just makes a little more sense in my mind, at least. So we've got these routines that come into play. And so I'm going to show you the birthday one because that's the one. And it comes back to this, what is the world-class client experience? What is the best experience we could make? It's so good, people can't help but giving us free marketing for it, right? So I like to say, and I'm pretty excited about this. This idea comes from a man named Andy Frisella. He owns a supplement company that I do business with called First Form, and free marketing right there, case in point. He will write a handwritten letter thanking you for your business when you purchase supplements, right?
I have gotten several of them.
Yeah. And Alex Hermosi, big entrepreneur, he's also now sharing this idea. So it's taking hold. And so writing and placing a birthday card in the mail seems trivial, but it could be a really powerful piece. So I've got this set to be done 4 days, and you could make it days, weeks, months, years. You could make it before or after, 4 days before the birth date. So that important date is the birth date. And I've said 4 days before the birth date, I need a reminder, and it's going to send a message to me to send a birthday card. Now, this is where that template comes into play. If I made a generic template, I could attach that generic template to there. But then back to those objectives, just like when we were creating resources and just like when I was working to create those custom pieces, you can do that inside here. And the power of these routines is that I could have a routine trigger for 100 people all at once, and each of those 100 people is going to get a custom message specifically to them, and it's all happening at once, right? So this one is write a custom birthday message I can handwrite onto a birthday card for this contact. Use detailed shared in the personal details section of their contact. Maybe that's a better thing that I should have used on the previous section. But so now what it's going to do is it's going to send me a message that is going to have a pre-written, personalized, custom message for the person it's going to. Maybe it triggers for your contact. I get a message, hey, Mark's birthday is in 4 days. You need to write this card. So it'll give me the copy. I don't have to sit down and think about, oh man, what would Mark like on a card? I just write it down and then I send it in the mail. And hopefully 4 days is enough time for USPS to take your 49-cent forever stamp and get it to you, right? So
I think 69 cents.
oh my gosh. So after that, I've got a couple other things. Maybe I think about, oh, man, this is the world-class client experience. So we're gonna do one of these things. Maybe we're ordering a gift card to a local restaurant, and then we're sending them a personal menu selection. So this is really cool. I'm a foodie. And so now I get the opportunity to go to all of the new restaurants in town, try out some stuff. And this is in the name of customer research, right?
Yeah.
And so now I can say, oh, I know Ruth's Chris is your favorite. Maybe Ruth's Chris opens in Springfield. And I say, hey, Mark, here's a birthday gift card for Ruth's Chris. Dinner's on me tonight. I absolutely loved the steak from Ruth Chris Steakhouse.
Absolutely.
You never get the chicken fingers at a steakhouse, right? And that's an easy slam dunk, but you get the idea. So send a personal message. Maybe we're ordering a book. Maybe I have a favorite book that I read this year, and my go-to favorite book is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. It's a really great book. It teaches you how this FBI negotiator is able to, he kind of like, he attacks human psychology in a way that helps you understand how to work with people better. And what better way to do that than in a field where we work with people. So maybe that's the book that I'm sending out as a birthday book this year. And so maybe, I get a reminder to order. Crumble cookie is like the big hot thing in St. Louis.
Love me crumbles.
And so you can order a single cookie. You can have it delivered through various different delivery services. Maybe you and task your assistant. You could send out a cookie. Maybe they're not into sweets. Maybe they prefer a bottle of wine. So there are different options. Maybe it's some birthday flowers. But we've got some options of things. Again, this is the world-class client experience. This isn't the average everyday happy birthday email experience that every brand that they've ever shared their email with since they were 12 years old is doing. We're going a step above the rest. Now, at the end of that, we want to give them a call on their birthday, right? So 0 days after their birth date, it's going to happen at noon. Now, you could adjust when this is due, essentially, to fit your schedule. You can add colors to it, and then you can assign. Now, I said I have lots of team members in my account. Maybe it gets assigned to someone that's not me, or maybe I actually am the one who takes on. And then this action is a birthday call. Now, selected means that it is going to happen automatically. So I'm going to get a notification, hey, you need to call this person when it comes due, and it's going to be added to my birthday's call list. So it's doing all the legwork of scheduling all of this for me. Now, the intention with this birthday's call list, you click on this call list, it's going to pop up, who am I calling, their email. It's going to have a little text field for me to type details of the call. Sam's going to be able to take those details, and if there's stuff that it can use, it'll start using that information. And then I love this idea of Sam coaching us. Now, we've got a lot of younger individuals coming into real estate who maybe they don't have the best social skills, and that's okay. I don't like phone calls. And so maybe I struggle on the phone a little bit with holding communication. And so what Sam's able to do is say, hey, here's some things about Mark. And it's going to give me one or two of those personal details. Those are good conversational starters. And then Sam is also going to say, also, I would like you to ask him this question. Now, what that question is going to be, generated by Sam. But what the system is hoping to do is learn something new about you. It's giving me the ability to ask that question naturally, and then I can add it to the personal details, which gives the system more information about you, so it can customize the content additionally, just even further. Right. And so this is how these automations start to work. They're sending things on your behalf. They're working to help keep your schedule maintained. They're building out these things, and they're all being triggered on these dates. These important dates are what triggers them. So now it's a different game. We don't have to start these automations when the date field gets filled out. Boom, that's already in the sequence. So now we don't have to worry about it. Now, the other cool thing, let's say I built out a routine activity that caused me to call you. Well, your last call date gets updated. Well, maybe my last call date, important date, has a routine associated, and now that gets triggered. So routines can trigger other routines to happen organically.
And that's really why I say, because you described this earlier, that's why I'm saying you don't need the groups, and you don't really need to build the entire workflow. You can just start building small pieces at your own pace for the things that you really want to achieve, your objective for whatever date it is. And as you build more routines, your process gets more refined. It's naturally building a complete workflow, but in smaller sections. And I love that.
Thank you.
That
Yeah, and this idea is like, how do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time, right? And so you don't have to have all your systems. Maybe you do have all your systems, and that's going to build a better business. But the other thing is, this scales much easier. We don't have to have new staff members learning all of these 100-piece workflows, these automations. They just have to think about, okay, well, this is for the birthday. This is, and it just a little bit more organic. And you're exactly right. It stacks. And so it scales with us. And then in marketing, we have this concept called A/B testing. Let's say we have an advertisement image that we post to Facebook. We've got two different images that we're going to post, and then we're going to see which one more people comment on, which more people click to our website through, and whichever one is better, we're going to keep, right? And so we can kind of A/B test our routines as we're building down this world-class experience. The more people that are engaging with our routine and like it and are sharing about it, that means we're getting closer and closer to that world-class client experience. That means we know that it's a great one. Now, at some point, we're like, man, this is a well-oiled machine. That's when you start going to your next routine, and you can start kind of zooming in one at a time as these processes happen, and you don't have to go, oh, man. And this is another thing. Agents all the time I talk to, and they kind of, we'll get onto this topic of automating tasks, and they kind of like, their energy drops, their head goes down, and inevitably they're like, yeah, I know I need these. I don't know where to start. I don't have the time for it, or my system can't do that for me. And so now you just have to think about the process that you're doing, and more importantly, the important date that is happening for that process. And you can start building these really easily. So this is the routine. Now, the last piece for all of those different routine pieces that Sam is automatically writing for us. So I had that example of the birthday message. Where does that message get placed? Well, that's the outbox. So anytime you have Sam write something for you, you don't want to just send it, right?
Right.
And
That could be disastrous.
could be a disaster. And this idea of like you wouldn't have your assistant send emails without you kind of validating, and maybe after a while you can trust them a little bit more. And this is the idea that the more you engage with Sam, the more it learns about you. Eventually, the system will have a good enough context of who you are, how you write. It'll be very good at this. But we're not there yet. And so we need to do a little bit of proofing. And so this outbox, we can just click on these templates and we can review the different things it wrote for us. And we can either approve it or we can make sure that it edits. I don't have an edit button just yet, but if we need to edit it, we can edit it. Or if it's ready to go and we're just, each day we spend 3 minutes just going through reading and sending these, you can send it right from here.
Nice.
And so this is how Sam takes all of these manual processes, it adds automations in a really intuitive way. It's using AI in a way that's helping us. And it's not a marketing gimmick, it's not a sales gimmick. A lot of things, when you added AI to RealVolve, you just added a template editor that would generate content, but not, it can do so much more. And so at every step, I've tried to think about how can we infuse this system? How can we make a modern system for our real estate friends to actually use this? Now, the kicker for me, the routines, the communication matrix is kind of the umbrella for these automations, the routines. I came up with this idea because I needed a better onboarding experience, like I was talking for my people as they come in to work with me. And that's where I kind of realized I needed this for my business. And then from there, it's like, well, if it works for me, it's gonna work for them. And so that's the system in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. I'm not sure how long we've been going at this, but that's amazing.
Thank you.
What excites me about this is there are so many parts and pieces that you've thought through, and a lot of it, we have discussed. We discussed some of the stuff whenever we were working on the book together, and building out systems for real estate agents, and maybe we need to have a discussion just on systems at some point. Why are systems important and stuff? People don't realize that they do systems every day. They just don't have them a lot of times written down, or they don't, and things fall through the cracks. And this is a way that you've done two things. You've given them the ability to build the systems, at the same time use the systems. Which I think is really great, and that's why it's called the Systems Accelerator Manager. And you call it Sam, and I get that. It's just I have spent so many years trying to help the real estate agent understand they need systems, and then they get the idea that I need the systems, but God, it's a lot of work to build those systems. So you've answered that as well. So you're using the Quest, you're using the AI to help generate the content, to build the things, so the agent doesn't have to think about what do I need to build or how do I build or whatever. It's more of a refining. Okay, once it's built, how do I want to personalize it to me? And that just makes things so much easier, and you've done a really great job of that. So
thank you. So this is where I am at as of August the 2nd. We're at the beginning of August. We've got the connections piece that'll get pushed into that, and after that we get the properties transactions rolling, and we're going to launch live. Like I've said before, I'm gonna do a 3-day event because it it just like it kicks me in the teeth every time I'm talking to my agent friends, and they know they need these automations. They just don't know where to start. And so I'm going to do a 3-day event. I'm going to give everyone who comes to it early access to the 2.0 of SAM. And I'm going to show you how to build your first system. And you're going to walk away having this system. And so it's going to do two things. It's going to prove that SAM is the solution you need. But then you're going to have the system that you need. You're going to take your first step in knowing, like, where do I even find these systems? So that's going to be coming up very soon. But I just wanted to show you guys the system as it stands now, kind of walk through the different pieces. I was getting to hang out with you this week, so I figured the opportunity to have us on the same video screen just couldn't be passed up.
Absolutely.
But thanks for viewing. I know this one was probably a bit longer. It's definitely an in-depth review of what we've got. There's so much coming. The AI assistants, I thought building resources was cool. And then I thought having a CRM inside of it was cool. And then the automations was cool. And now I'm super excited. There's just always so much to be done. And I think this is the cool part about having you on the team now, is I can do some of these big concepts. You can start, cleaning up behind me, make sure that it is exactly what it needs to be. And at the end of this, we're going to have a tool that is going to help you be more successful. That's going to translate in two ways. We always believe you guys as real estate agents just spend a little too much time working. And I understand that that's the culture. I'm not saying work less, but I think if you have a little bit more focused work, you have the opportunity to, save a little bit here, a little bit there. All of a sudden you have a couple hours. Well, now you pick up a hobby. You go have a date night with your significant other, or you get to catch up with some friends. Life gets a little bit better. You can refill your cup so you can pour back into your business. Or maybe we're in a season of life where your business kind of has to be the focus. We can also use the system to build our business with taking that time, reinvesting it, right? And then we're building these automations and these systems that will continue to scale and grow with us as we're building these world-class client experiences. So that's the goal for the system. And like I can come off a little arrogant saying this, but I truly believe SAM is going to change the real estate technology industry. And so I just want to thank you guys for being a part of this ride.
Well, I am certainly excited about it. So I hope that they are too.
Yeah, but all right. Well, I will see you guys very soon, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everyone.